Hi, everybody. It's Susan Gerard here, founder of the Emotional Intelligence School. And today we're going to talk about what to do when you don't know what to do. So have you ever been in a situation where somebody expects you to do something that you weren't planning on doing and you feel like maybe you shouldn't even do it, and you're wondering, like, why are they even asking you to do it? And I've been in that situation. I really don't like it. People do it all the time. But before I get to talking about what to do in those situations, I want to tell you a little story that happened to me this week that relates to it. So I made a promise to myself to do 3 months worth of Facebook Lives once a week. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to learn to talk about emotional intelligence, and also because I wanted to build trust for the Emotional Intelligence School. I wanted to be a representative for the school and to give people an idea of the value that the school offers. So I've done, I'm halfway through my 3 months. And so what happened early on is that I started to get into a pattern of how I would do these. And usually on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'd have a really good idea, be very inspired about a certain topic. And on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I would practice talking about this topic. Well, this Saturday came and went, and there was no inspiration. And then Sunday came and went, and I had some ideas, but it was good content, but it wasn't really exciting. And I feel like when I come on here and talk, it should be something that is exciting and that's inspiring. So I thought I'd give it one more day, and Monday came and still no great ideas. And I started to get worried. I started to feel a little anxious about it, and worry and anxiety, or types of fear. And the thoughts I was thinking was, what if I can't do it? What if I have to talk about something I'm not really interested in? To me, that seems like something I don't want to do. And I would feel like not completely honest doing that. So I remembered to do something we talk about in the Emotional Intelligence School, and that's called reporting. So I started reporting, and a lot of times we talk about reporting in the context of talking to other people, which is how I started out this Facebook Live, and we'll circle back to that. But it was just me, and so I started reporting. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So the first part of reporting is just to describe what's happening as if a video camera was taking pictures of what happened. So I was in my car, I was driving, and I was like, well, I agreed to do these Facebook Lives, and I don't have a topic, and I don't know what to talk about, and I don't want to cancel because the idea was to build trust. And if I canceled that and I didn't show up one week, that really wouldn't help me build trust. And so that is the outside. Now, for reporting on the inside, I would say, I feel worried that I won't be able to think about the right thing to say, or I'll think about it too late and I won't get to practice, or I won't think of it at all, and I'll talk about something I really don't want to talk about. And as soon as I started reporting, I realized that I could talk to you about reporting. And all of a sudden I felt inspired. And I thought, you know, I can do this. And reporting is a really good skill to have. So let's talk about reporting with other people. People will sometimes have expectations for you without asking you if you want to participate. And sometimes it's because of a job, like maybe you're in a job, and just because you're in a job, people have expectations of you. It's not always in your job description. Or like me, like I get a big reward for like fixing things, fixing problems. And so you get a reputation, right, for being this person, and then people want to come to you. So like for me, I'm really much more focused now on getting that reward from doing things that I want to do, goals that I have, rather than getting it from fixing other people's problems. But anyway, people will come and bring you stuff that isn't yours, and I hope that you're the type of person who has goals and has a certain kind of life that you want to live, and that you're taking the steps to move the needle on that life, to have leverage, to live the kind of life that you want to live. That is something that we hold very dear at the Emotional Intelligence School. We want women to design and build their own happily ever after. So when you start to do that, there still will be people who will have expectations for you that are a lower priority than what you have planned for yourself. And it's really good to know how to use reporting in those situations. So what you can do is when somebody brings something to you, you can start reporting externally. So that is, oh, well, I was just on my way to do X. And then you just pause and see what they say. And then they may say, yeah, but I really need you to do this thing. And you're like, oh, I see you really want me to do this thing. It's really important to you. It doesn't mean it's important to me, but you want to let the person know that you get that it's important to them. So you might say, oh, I really need to work on my financials this morning, and that's what I have planned, and that's what I was going to do. But now you want me, you think that this is more important. And then pause. That pause is so important because people, if you give them a little bit of information and then you leave a pause, it gives them the opportunity to process it, and they might shift. They might say, oh, well, maybe it's not that important. Maybe we could do it later in the day. Or unfortunately, sometimes they think what they have for you to do is more important. So then you also want to report on the inside and say something like, wow, I really was excited to work on my financials because I'm not really good at math, and this was like, I had the energy for it and I'm ready to go for it. And you might say, I really don't want to, I'm really not in the mindset to do this thing that you want me to do at this moment. Can we do it? Can we put our heads together and figure out another way to do it. And then just pause. The pause is really important because it gives people a chance to be resourceful, to be cooperative, and to work together. And of course, there are people who don't care about any of that. And you may end up doing the thing that they're giving you. But if you have slowed the interaction down by reporting, by leaving pauses, and by expressing, what is important to you, you're letting that person know that things about you that hopefully over time they will be more mindful of, that, it's really better not to bring stuff to her at the last minute. In fact, one thing that you can say when you're reporting, after you report on the external and the internal, you can ask some questions. You can follow it up with questions like, I wonder if I'm the best person to do this job. And just pause. And they might tell you why you're the best person to do this job. Or they might think, oh, actually, Jim is better at this, and I don't think he's busy right now. Stuff like that does happen, and it's really cool when it does. So it's really important to do this reporting externally, internally, and ask questions, even if you end up doing what the person originally brought to you. Because slowing down that interaction also gets them to see that you're doing them a favor, and that needs to be noted, because sometimes people push things on you so fast, and you do them so fast, it's like you don't even really get credit for it. And you should get credit. You should get credit when you change your plans to accommodate someone else's needs. That shouldn't be just taken for granted. So where are we? Let me look at my notes. And if you don't do these things, here's some things that can happen. You can end up ghosting people. You can end up placating people, which builds resentment. And all of these things kind of wear on a relationship. So I do want to say one thing about ghosting, and maybe I'll do another video about this, but there's really no need to ever ghost somebody unless it's just like some random stranger that, but like someone that you care about in a relationship or have some kind of relationship with. You really don't have to ghost them if you know how to report. So let's say you get a text and you're like, I don't even know how to respond to this text. So that's the report. Like, I see in your text, you say this thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that or what I think about that. I need time to think about it. And if you want to build trust in relationships, which I hope you do, I hope you're in the kind of relationships that you want to build trust in, that the relationship is worth that. It's a really good idea to give a time frame for getting back to someone. So if you say, I need to think about it for an hour, or I need to think about it for a day or overnight. And the thing you want to do is, no matter what, contact that person after an hour or after 24 hours. And you can say, if you have clarity, you can just let them know. Or you can say, I really need more information before I can fully respond to this. Or you can say, I still really don't know what to do in this situation and I need more time. So what you're doing is you're just giving people a report. And it's a really nice thing to do because our minds will always fill in the blanks. So if I tell you, I'll get back to you on 20, I need to think about it, but I don't put a time on it. That could be like a week or a month. And when people are left hanging, that's kind of stuck in the back of their minds, like an unresolved thing that they're carrying around. And your mind will fill in the blanks with all kinds of terrible scenarios. So I think it's important to be kind and respectful to people, and to, if I give them a time, that I honor that time, and also that I don't just not respond like people do when they ghost other people. You know, just to report, this is confusing to me, or this doesn't make sense to me, or given the kind of relationship we have, this doesn't really make sense to me. This is one that you can use a lot in dating. I noticed in dating, you'll get a lot of really strange requests that are not appropriate for what the relationship is so far. And it's really empowering to be able to say, that doesn't seem appropriate given that we've only known each other for a week, or we've only talked on the phone. I mean, if it's like egregious, like a dick pic, just delete it. You have my permission to ghost. I mean, please ghost people like that. But if it's just something where you're not on the same page, that's where you want to report. That's where reporting comes in handy, where both people aren't on the same page. You want to slow those interactions down so you can get on the same page if it's possible, and then you can move forward. So I want to talk about what keeps people from reporting, besides not knowing about it. One thing is sometimes people think, and I notice men think this a lot, that they just have to know everything right when it's time to know it, which is kind of a social pressure that men feel. But for women, more commonly, what stops us from reporting is that we're triggered, or we're experiencing intense emotions. Maybe this is like the 10,000th time that someone has tried to drop a job on you that isn't really your responsibility. And because you haven't been reporting, you've just been kind of going along to get along, like it's building up and building up. So you get triggered, and then it's really hard to be able to report because you just want to throttle the person. Like you just want to say, why can't you do your own work? Why not? So anyway, and there's no shame in being triggered and not knowing. Like I used to be fiercely triggered by a lot of things. And if you've gone through the end of a bad breakup, like it can cause PTSD, and just you can be triggered left and right and get in a habit of being triggered, and then you're like triggered about being triggered. So there's no shame in being triggered. It happens to us, especially when we've experienced some really traumatic events in our life. But if you would like to learn how to respond in triggering situations, such as with reporting and other tools and techniques that we teach at the Emotional Intelligence School, and you'd like me to help you with it, I would be honored to help you with it. And I'd like to give a little bit of a plug about working with someone. Of course, you can figure out how to do this by yourself. You know, we're all intelligent and we all have access to the internet, and we can all like put that puzzle together. But what's really good about working with someone is that you can accomplish the same results in a fraction of the time. You can avoid common mistakes and dead ends and getting lost in a rabbit hole. I know that when I was learning emotional intelligence, before I developed the tools that I teach, I would just reach these places where I thought, oh my God, what's the point? This is just too hard and it's not worth it. And, you know, maybe it's not possible to have the kind of transformation that I want to have. And when you work with someone who's already walked that path before you and they're working with you, you don't have to have that experience, because me, or, you know, joining the Emotional Intelligence School, one of our programs, Reclaim Your Emotional Intelligence, there are parameters set up so that you don't have to go through that. And it's very valuable, and it makes things a lot easier, and it makes your progress a lot faster. And it's a much more smooth and enjoyable process. That doesn't mean it doesn't take effort, and it doesn't take, you know, being dedicated and being all in for the result you want, but it makes it so much easier. So if you want help, and if you want me in particular to help you, you can PM me at the Emotional Intelligence School on Facebook, or you can write to me at fluidintegration@gmail.com. And I wish everybody a great weekend. And just remember, if you get in those sticky situations, either with yourself, where you can't deliver on something you promised. That's the other thing I didn't quite cover, but like I had promised to do these Facebook Lives, if I had promised somebody to do something and I couldn't do it, I would also report. I would say, you know, I agreed to do this and I really want to do it, and here's where I'm stuck. And you just explain it, and then you pause. That pause is magic. And then you let that person try to meet you where you are, and give that person the opportunity to be gracious. And hopefully you are hanging out with the kind of people who can do that. So reporting is good on both sides, for like slowing an interaction down, for getting clarity on something that you promised to yourself that you're struggling to do, and for promises that you make to other people. So here's to being a good reporter. Stay away from that fake news, and I will see you next Thursday at the same time, 5 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Have a good weekend. Aloha.